everyone, my name's Peachy, and this is going to be my first YouTube video ever in suit. I've been a furry for like 6, 7 years. Yeah, I've never really thought about doing YouTube before, but recently I had an idea about making a video that talks about how I personally deal with hate comments and to give some advice to maybe some younger furries out there who are newer to the community and newer to making content. So, for a little bit of context, I found the furry fandom in the summer of 2018 and I started making dino mask TikToks in the spring of 2019. So that was the first time I'd ever really posted furry content that did fairly well for the time. I think I had gotten about 3,000 followers on that account. And that's the first time I ever started getting hate. And to this day, now I mostly post over on Instagram and I make reels. I still get hate. So I wanted to talk about what I do with hate comments and how I choose to deal with it. And then also provide some advice and some alternatives to how I deal with it. So, just to get it out of the way, when you get hate comments, regardless of what they are or what they say, they are actually beneficial to your account or to your channel. Now, let me explain this. And this typically applies to short form content. So, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, mostly those types of platforms. But when you comment on something, the magical TikTok, Instagram algorithm picks that up and says, oh, this person is interacting with this content. They must want to see more of this content. So even when people leave mean comments on your videos, they are, whether they realize it or not, actually helping you. So Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're posting on is going to start pushing that to that person and also to other people who are similar to that person. So maybe they're friends or people who interact with similar content. So not only are they helping you, but they're actually sabotaging themselves because if they don't like furry content, commenting on it is gonna get them more furry content on their page. However, even though these comments can be helpful for you, they still hurt. And I think there's a lot of people who like to act like hate comments don't bother them and they think it's funny. And if you're someone who genuinely doesn't get upset by it, that's great. Good for you. I'm so happy that you're able to deal with that. But for a lot of us, including myself, a lot of the things that people say are actually really hurtful. For me, a lot of people like to comment on my body and comment on my weight. A lot of people also suggest that I hurt myself. And that's something that I actually have struggled with in the past. Thankfully, I don't anymore. And if you're struggling with that, I'll leave some resources in the description so that you can reach out and get some help. But the reality is that hate comments can actually be really hurtful. Sure, some of them are stupid, and even if you know that that person probably doesn't really mean what they're saying, and if they do, they're just being a jerk, it still hurts. So here's how I deal with it. If something really does deeply personally bother me, I will delete the comment and I will block that person. And that is not a sign of weakness. If anything, that is showing that I respect myself enough to know that if something bothers me, I can just get rid of it. However, like I said, hate comments, as unfortunate as it is, can really boost your engagement and really help out your account, your channel, whatever you're posting on. So, things that don't bother me, I will gladly leave them up. Sometimes I'll even respond to them because then that person will keep coming back and keep trying to argue with me and keep giving me more comments and more engagement. So if something doesn't bother me, most of the time I'll leave it there. Now, here's another thing I want to touch on. A lot of times, the majority of the comments that you're going to get are going to be hate comments. And it's going to feel like the only people who are watching your videos are just hate watching and they just hate your stuff. But actually, a lot of people who like videos will like the video or watch it, enjoy it, and then not press anything and then just scroll on. So you can't always let the comments be your entire view of who is watching your videos and if they like them or not, because a lot of times people who like stuff are just silent about it, or they don't want to comment because they don't want their friends or their followers seeing maybe that they like furry content, or that's something that they enjoy watching. So don't let your comment section decide how you feel about your audience and impact how you feel about the content that you're making. So I've explained what I do. I will firstly delete and block any users delete their comments if they really, really bother me. And then secondly, if it's just stupid stuff that I don't really care about, I'll leave it up for the purposes of boosting my engagement and maybe giving a couple of people a laugh, especially my friends and my mutuals who will come to my comment section and occasionally defend me or start arguments with haters in my comment section. That does occasionally actually make my day a lot. But what can you do? Well, you can take the same approach that I do, but there are a couple other ways to deal with it. I know people who literally just don't check their comments. Whether it's good or bad, they just don't respond to it. And I think that if even seeing a hate comment can really bother you, that's a good way to go about it. But also, content creation isn't for everybody. If you're not somebody who is going to be able to get a hate comment and handle it, I might recommend that you just don't make content until you're ready to deal with that. Now, I'm not saying don't be creative. I'm not saying don't draw, don't make fursuits, don't have your OCs, but maybe just don't post about it yet if you're not ready to deal with hate. Because at the end of the day, this hobby is weird. It is a little bit silly, and it's not something that a lot of people are used to seeing. So, no matter what you do, you're going to get at least a little bit of hate when you post about it publicly. But if you are ready to potentially deal with some hate comments, there are a couple other ways that you can go about dealing with them. There are, on most, if not all, social media platforms, you can go into your settings, and I'll put some visuals up on screen about how to do this and potentially link some tutorials from other creators in the description. But you can actually block or filter certain words. For example, if people telling you to hurt yourself or to, get rid of yourself, if that really bothers you, you can type in those phrases, and Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're on, will automatically filter out those comments, and if users try to leave them, they will just not go through. So you can do that for anything. If you don't want people talking about pickles on your comment section, you can block out the word pickles and there's nothing they can really do about it. Of course, that's kind of a silly example, but you can put basically anything there. So that's one way you can go about dealing with it. Some creators entirely have their comment section turned off, and while that is a good way to deal with it, it also does limit your engagement and also prevents you from getting positive comments. So that is an option. It's not something I would personally do, but it's totally up to you. Now, there are things that you can do on your social media to deal with these comments: blocking, reporting, deleting, but how do you actually deal with it mental health wise? Everything that's on here and in the screen, it's there, but it can actually affect your real life. So here's what I do. First of all, don't be afraid to take a break. It is okay. Don't be afraid to delete your app, temporarily deactivate your account, turn off your comments, whatever it is. Put yourself first. Before making content, before anything like that, put yourself first. Do not worry about disappointing your followers or looking weak in front of other people. Just put your mental health and your safety first. Second of all, don't internalize that. You can try to shrug it off, but sometimes, the hate comments that people leave can really get to you, and then you'll carry it around with you. You gotta let it roll off your back and just not let it affect you. The third thing is to always make sure that you have somebody in your life who you trust to go to, especially if you're a minor. If whether your parents know about your account or not, I would always recommend that you tell a adult in your life, hey, I'm doing TikTok, I'm doing Instagram, and sometimes I get hate. So that way, if you get a serious threat online, you need to go and tell an adult, because people can get actual repercussions for the things that they say online. Unfortunately, it is kind of rare that that can happen, but if something really serious happens, don't be afraid to tell somebody about it. So make sure that you have somebody, preferably an adult, in your life who you're able to go to and say, hey, this is what's going on. Also, I started on TikTok when I was 11. And I know that it's very common for people to lie about their ages so that they can be on social media. But I'm almost 17 now, and any advice to anyone who's under 13, I would strongly recommend not lying about your age to post content. If you want to lie about your age just so you can watch and comment, I'm not saying you should, but, whatever. But I wouldn't start making content until you are of the age that the app requires you to be to make content, and here's why. If you ever need to actually legally take action against something, or even just file a complaint or a report through the app, a lot of times they're going to want documentation that shows how old you are or who you are. And if you, A, don't have that documentation, or two, you do and it has your real age, your entire account might end up getting banned. And also, the person who said that horrible thing to you might not get to be in trouble or have any consequences at all because you're underage. So, I would recommend waiting, even though it's hard, to make content until you are of the proper age to do so on that platform. So, in general, just to give a recap, always put yourself first. Do not be afraid to block, delete, or filter things out of your comments. And three, make sure that you have somebody in your life who you trust, in your real life, not somebody online, who you can go to and say, here's what happened, what do I do? Because you might need an adult to help you at the end of the day. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. If you guys would want more videos about stuff like this, or just videos of me in suit in general, let me know by leaving a like. If you're struggling with anything mental health wise, I'll put some resources in the description, as well as some tutorials on filtering your comments. And if you really, really liked this, feel free to subscribe so that when I post a video, if I post a video like this again, that way you can get notified and you can come back and see it. It was so great getting to hang out with you today. I hope you have a great day. Drink some water, stay hydrated, take care of yourself.